Hello, this is our roundup of the first week's episode. So episodes 1 to 7 of the new 1 minute antique and vintage tips. So hopefully you're enjoying them. And I have got notes because I'm going to just roughly or quickly go over what we talked about in the first 7 episodes. So I've got my notes so I don't forget anything. So hopefully you're enjoying them. If I get any questions, I've had a few questions this week. What I will aim to do is answer them in this sort of weekly roundup. So this is our longer video on here. So yes, I hope you're enjoying them and I hope you're getting something from them. And what I will do is if I get any questions going forward or people say that they want to hear about a certain subject, I will adapt the series going forward. So get involved with that. So the first one, it feels a bit story time, doesn't it? The first one was episode 1 and it was where to sell. So what I will try to do in the series, and my aim for you for the series or people that are doing it, is we're going to start off, or it has started off very basic, and it's I've done that so that it will appeal or be useful to people that are just thinking about starting to sell. But what my aim will be is that in each episode give you something to take away, an action to go off and add into your business so that it takes you one step forward towards your goals. So we did a bit of goal planning as well, which I haven't got in my thing, so I don't know what day I did that. What day did I do that? Oh, I know when I did that. I did it, yes, ignore me. I did it on episode 8, so that's why it's not in my notes. I got completely lost track of myself then. So I'm not going to edit this or take anything out. So this is how my thoughts are coming out of my head straight to you. So that's how I'll go with it. So hopefully you stay with me. So the first one was where to sell. And my aim for the series is to not tell you what to do or what the best way of doing something is. I will tell you the best way that I find doing it, but that will not necessarily be the best way for you. So if I just give you the information or where to find the information, then you can make your own decision. So that is how the series will be planned out. So I'm not going to tell you what to do or when to do it, kind of thing. So I'll try and give you the information and see what works for you, because this is the beauty of this business, reselling, antique dealing, vintage dealing. You can do it so many different ways and you can do it a way that suits you. But like I said in the first series, there will be dealers that just do fairs and they live on the road and that's what works for them. But if you've got family commitments or other commitments, that is not what's going to work. So episode 1 was about where to sell. So it might be if you love being on the road and your life is such that you can be away from home or wherever you call home and you can be on the road constantly, that would be a great way to sell. So just going fair to fair to fair would be fantastic. I can imagine doing that myself in a few years' time. But for now, for me, what works is the antique centres and the occasional flea market and online. That's the thing that is working well for me because of family commitments. But as you go on through life, that will change. So I used to do loads of fairs and the antique centres and the online, and that just became too much. So the good thing is you can change it. If something you start doing something and it doesn't work, don't be afraid to pull back or switch to something else. So the best place to sell is wherever suits you. So that was episode 1 basically, and the takeaway from that was to set up whatever it is that you wanted to, or wherever you want to start selling. So if it was flea markets or antique centres, get the names and phone numbers, get on the waiting list for the antique centres, get the dates of the flea markets in. Sometimes you have to book in advance, book and pay in advance, or some of them are just turn up and pay on the door. So find out how they work and sort of book them in basically. And if it's online, set up your platform. So with eBay, Etsy, Vinted, set your platforms up Don't worry too much about getting everything right to start with, so you must wait until you have got the perfect business name to start. Just start it with whatever name you think, and then as you progress through, you might decide that a different name is more appropriate, and so that's it. But don't let anything hold you back to start with, and don't really things like names and stuff are not massively important at the beginning because they can always be changed. So that was episode 1, and the task was to pick 3 places to sell, so or platforms to sell. So if you're interested in whatever it was, set those up or find out more about them. So that was 1. Episode 2 was what to sell. Now, based on the fact that this is aimed at brand new sellers or people thinking of selling, and there is a transferable into your existing business, but it was to start by selling things that you love and that you're already interested in. So if that was vintage gaming or sort of records, books, artwork, pottery, what do you have around your house that you're really interested in? What do you collect? What are your hobbies? And base your first category of items on what you already love and what you already know. So everything becomes easier if it is records, vinyl you want to sell, you're interested in it. Your research will be easier and your pricing will be easier because you already buy it, so you already know the prices. That's just one example. If you love pottery, I have loads of studio pottery around, which I'm really interested in. So one of the natural things for me to start off with, if I was absolutely brand new and had no experience, would be studio pottery because I'm used to buying it. So you might sell a few bits from your collection, and when you're at the car boot sales, your eye will naturally be drawn to the things you love. So pottery, gaming, vinyl, kitchenalia, whatever it might, artwork, whatever it might be. So that was the first one, and the task or the takeaway from that was to pick 3 categories of things you're interested in. So it might have been studio pottery, it might be vinyl, and it might be kitchenalia. And then just choose one of those, your strongest category that you feel strongest and most comfortable in. And when you go out buying, just focus on buying that. So you're only looking for that. Just makes your buying easier, more focused, and you're not getting overwhelmed by thinking, what do I need to buy? What's going to make the most money? So it was just to make it dead simple. Once you're happy with your first category, you add in your second and then add in your third. That was just a way to get people started. If you're existing, are there categories of things that you really love that you're not selling that you would like to sell? So that was sort of the transferable bit from that. So that was episode 2. And then episode 3 was, I've mixed my notes up, so I can't remember what episode 3 was. Hang on, let me find it. Episode 3, anybody? Episode 3. Here you go. I've got it written down here. Research your categories. I don't know where that piece of paper's gone. No idea. But episode 3 was research your categories. So based on the day before we chose, I'm going to start by selling studio pottery. Go online, research at the antique fairs, the antique centres. Go onto the online auctions and look what's selling, what's popular, the kinds of prices that you can buy it in at. If you go to the car boot sales, researching sort of, is there a lot of studio pottery around, what kind of price are people asking for it. Go online, and particularly if you're going to start by selling online or in a centre, go to that place and find what the kinds of prices are that people are paying for stuff or people are asking for stuff, and then that will help you with your pricing. So if you're going to start selling on Etsy, look for your category. What kinds of things are listed? Is there anything that you think should be listed that isn't, that maybe you could start targeting that? And what kind of prices are people selling them for? So that was episode 3, researching your categories. And it was writing down for episode 4, based on your research of the day before, create your buying list. So the kinds of things that you want to be looking for, and then we're going to create a buying diary, or we have done. So creating 2 columns, the kinds of prices that you could be able to buy them in at, and the prices that you can sell them for as well. So that was creating your buying list and your budget was for episode 4. So that was that one. And the takeaway was set your buying list and set your budgets. So when you go on your next buying trip, you've got a list of the items you're looking for and what sort of prices you can, you'll know in your head what sort of prices you can sell them for. Then that will give you a guide of what you need to be buying them in for. So if you have your buying diary in a physical form, and you've got your prices in there, you can refer to that. Eventually that will all be in your head, so you won't need to worry about it, but to start with, have it down or on your phone, and that will help. So that was 4. 5 was research your buying opportunities. So where can you buy that's local to you? And the most important things from episode 5 was keep it local, keep it easy, so that you keep your costs down and your prices down when you're buying. So it might be you pick out, and I think we said about picking out 3 buying opportunities. So it might be local car boot sales. To give it a bit of variation, it might be a flea market, and it might be antique centres or charity shops. And obviously those, if you have an item, so this bowl will be priced up at totally different prices depending on where you buy it from. So your price point that you want to be selling at might give you a clue as to where you need to buy it from. And at the moment in the summer, car boot sales are all over the place. So at the moment, those would be good places to go to. So that was a sort of an example of that. So researching your buying opportunities, get them down. If there's flea markets happening, get down the dates so you don't miss them, so you can go and have a look. Antique centres, look at the prices and that kind of thing. So if you're planning to sell at antique centres, go around antique centres and see the kinds of prices. If it's online, the same for that. So episode 6 was setting some buying rules. So could be 3, it could be more, but basically when you go out buying, we get really excited and it's very fast paced sometimes, most of the time. So setting a few rules that you can sort of remember in your head, and this goes for anybody that's buying and selling. How many times have we picked up stuff that we actually can't handle ourselves, that's too heavy really, bulky, bad to post, smashable, it's damaged. So when you go buying, what are the rules that you're going to stick by? So I'm not going to buy anything that's damaged or I can't fix easily. I'm not going to buy anything fragile because I don't really want to handle it or post it. And if you're planning from episode 1 to sell online, that will give you a guide of what you do and don't want to be picking up. So that was the buying rules from that, episode 6. Episode 7 was keep your buying diary. So all of this information that we've set so far goes into your buying diary, and keep that buying diary with you, whether that's on your phone or a physical book. When you go buying, what are you buying? Might be you write down individual items if you have just bought a few, or if you've, like I go and buy a lot from house clearance people, you might say from that particular person you spent £80, or you went to the car boot sale with a budget of whatever it might be and you spent that budget, so all of those items owe you back whatever it was. So keeping a guide, and you'll also need that for tax returns as well going forward. So how much are you spending each day or each week on your items, and then adding in your costs of your travel, etc., or attending antique markets, car boots if you could be in charge to get in there. So keep everything down in your buying diary. I keep it in a little book which I can keep in my bag with me and just make notes, and then when I get back I'll make better notes in sort of an A4 form when I get back. So how much are you spending, and where did you go? Did it work well? Would you go again? You went to a car boot sale that you've been to a couple of times, and each time it's been really good or really bad. So yes, I will or won't bother with going again to that one, or not go as regularly. actually, when I go to this place, I'm getting loads more stock at a really good price. So prioritising that, your time and your budget on that place rather than different place. So it's all your notes, all the things you need to remember. So that was your buying diary. And so it's just keeping notes in there of what you've learned as well as all of your prices. So that was the first week of the series. So hopefully you enjoyed it. Like I said, it can change. I've talked this week about setting up your space, your booth, your pitch. And the aim for this week was to move it through from setting up the sort of bones of your space to adding your story, etc., and building up. And then next week we might go online, but it really depends on what kind of questions we get asked as to where I go with it. So it can change because there is really no point me answering things or covering topics that you're not interested in. So if you ask a question, I will change the series based on that. So hopefully you're enjoying it and you're getting some useful information out of it, and we will progress as we go, so there'll be something for everybody. So thank you so far, and I will see you next week when I do a roundup of the second week of the series. Take care. Bye.